Hey, what's going on everyone? And welcome to another episode of Designer Head. It is 2023 and this is going to be, I think, first episode of 2023? No, second. I have to check. I lost track a little bit. I kind of missed a month because of personal reasons. However, I'm back and I'm recording and again, as I keep promising, because I keep trying to put that kind of challenge in front of me, is to record more regularly. But you know what? Somebody actually told me recently that it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. And so I guess I'm gonna try and do this, more of a quality content and more important content rather than trying to spit them out every couple of weeks or every week like a lot of creators do. I'm not here to become a content creator. I'm not here to become an influencer, to start making money out of this or whatnot. I'm here to share my experience and help you guys grow, learn from my mistakes and my advice and so forth. So, welcome again. I do appreciate everyone who's been supporting the channel so far, thus far, and liking the videos, sharing the videos, talking about them, reaching out to me. I love questions. I love answering those questions. So please do reach out with questions. Please do respond with comments underneath the videos. I read all of them. I really do, and I respond to every single one of them. Anyway, today's subject is honestly a burning one. I've been getting a lot of requests for this specific subject or topic. I've been having conversations around it. I've had a bunch of mentoring sessions thus far this year already on this specific topic. So, without further ado, let's hit it. All right, so what are we talking about today? Today we're talking about job hunting. And I think I covered that before last year, but I feel like this year it's a little bit more special or different or anxious for some people or stressful for a lot of people. So here's the thing. 2023 started with, I guess, a lot of bad news. It started in the late 2022, but as we rolled into 2023, the tech industry kind of went into, as I like to call it, apocalyptic mode, where suddenly, as some of the financial industry actually, or Wall Street industry, have named it that, the tech industry started to wear their big boy pants, which means they became a corporation. They have been a corporation for years, some decades. And I think one of the biggest problems that I would like to address is, yes, there have been a lot of layoffs, a lot. Like, I think thus far the number stands at around 100,000 or 100 and some thousand people lost their jobs in the last couple of months with all the big tech layoffs. And on that specific topic, I want to jump right into the fact that everything that we all see in the news, it's all anxiety-inducing headlines and clickbaits and attention grabbers and so forth. Yes, I feel terrible for all the people that lost their jobs. I feel terrible for the fact that the entire tech industry, and not the entire tech industry actually, I'm going to correct myself, the big tech industry, and I want us to be really careful about when we think about the tech industry. There is the big tech industry, which is all of the sweethearts that everyone knows and everyone kind of want to work for, which is the Ubers and the Lyfts and the Amazons and the Googles and the Facebooks and the Metas and the Instagrams and WhatsApps and Twitters, and the list goes on of all these big names that everyone knows, and TikToks and whatnot. But the thing is that even though they employ a shit ton of people, they don't employ the majority of the tech workers. They employ a lot, but not the majority. Now, one of the problems that I see time and time again in the last couple of months is that there is this frenzy of, oh shit, the entire tech industry is in turmoil and everything has gone to shit and everything is going down and People are losing their jobs, and honestly, it's not as terrible as it was during the dot-com collapse in late 90s, early 2000s. It's not even as bad as 2008 economic collapse. So, let's remember that and keep in mind that the industry and the economy goes up and at some point goes down. It's just part of the capitalistic society. It's part of the world. Nothing cannot go up endlessly. It just doesn't work that way. So you as a potential employee or of any company, regardless of the size of that company, big, medium, or small, on some level you need to prepare yourself. And on some level you need to be ready that whatever you are, whatever you're doing, if your company is on a growth trajectory and you're having amazing fun and you're growing and your career is booming and you're making money and everything is great, take that little part of that money that you're making and put it somewhere, like aside, just for when shit happens, right? And shit will happen. That's how it works. And so for all of you who are starting out right now, the younger designer, the younger creatives in the industry, be mindful of that. Like, at some point, your industry, whatever that is, will go down. Maybe not drastically. Maybe it's not going to be a shit show. But it will dip at some point. It's just the way things work. So having that little cushion underneath your bum for when that dip happens is really helpful, because when that dip happens and God forbid you do lose your job, it doesn't feel as terrible. It doesn't feel as, well, yeah, it's sad, it's it's emotional, it's obviously a stressful period in life when that happens, but at least you don't feel that, oh shit, how am I paying rent and everything else tomorrow, right? And that's what I'm trying to communicate and educate people is you're starting out, you're shifting this career, or you're just starting out in a career. Try to think about it as you go along. At least I would recommend, a lot of economists recommend, I think, saving aside 20 or 30% of your income, which is amazing, but I would say at least 5 to 10% try to just kind of put aside. But I'm sure you did not come here for financial advice or economic lesson. And trust me, do not listen to any of what I'm saying, because I'm not an economist. I'm not a professional. I'm just talking from my personal experience that I've seen these ups and downs. I started my career in one of the worst time periods for the tech industry, which is at the time of the dot-com collapse, late 90s, early 2000s, when no one really knew what's going to happen in the future with that thing called the internet. Because right now, everything just collapsed, literally. So I went through that, and it took me a few years to kind of get into the industry and start making money and actually build a career in that. And then I've literally, from that point, look at this from a timeline perspective. I started my career, quote unquote, officially around 2001. I mean, I've been a designer way before that. I've been a graphic designer, I've been an artist, I've been doing a lot of stuff in the design industry. But as a web designer, as a digital designer, my first actual job that I got paid for, which was designing a website and building a website for $250, was literally in 2001. That was my first kind of like stepping stone of, okay, excuse me, I just got paid for this, so there's something here. I can actually build something out of this, and I can actually make money out of this. And so from 2001, there was kind of a growth trajectory of my career and the industry itself, right? As a design industry, we've grown and evolved a lot from 2001 to 2008. Granted, most of it was agencies and consultancies and so forth. It was very rarely you'll find actually design teams within organizations, unless they are a tech startup, which at the time, right, somewhere in Silicon Valley, that you might find some designers. And even then, a lot of the design work was outsourced to a marketing agency, a design agency, a web design agency, or advertising agency, and then so forth. And so from 2001 to 2008, there was like this massive growth of the design industry, or tech industry in general, right? We had the BlackBerry evolution, and then we had the smartphone boom, and then we had the first iPhone, and then we had the designing for mobile applications, right? That was the first kind of stepping stones in early 2000s. And so everything felt amazing up until 2008. So there's a gap between 2000, when the industry started kind of picking their pieces back together from the dot-com collapse. And so it took them 8 years to get to the point of everything is amazing, everything is great, and then the housing market burst, right? And so the economy tanked, right? At least in North America, and then it dragged with it a lot of the other countries. But when that happened, the first thing that most companies did is cut budgets to all of their marketing, advertising, design work, and so forth. So yeah, our industry suffered immensely. I was having clients at the time that I was losing like flies every single day in New York in 2008. So that was the first one, right? And then from 2010 up until the 2020 of the COVID pandemic, again, everything is on the rise, everything is amazing, everything is great, and then suddenly, boom, tank. Another reason, not gonna get into what the reason is, we all literally lived through it, and unfortunately a lot of people did not, which I'm super sad about it and disappointed in humanity in general, but that's another conversation. But then we had another tank, right? And then it went down, and so this is when, surprisingly, ADP List was born, that a lot of you guys actually reach out to me now through. Because at that time, the first thing that a lot of companies in immense uncertainty of the early 2020s were doing is shutting down their design budgets, which means they were laying people off. They were stopping their budgets with different outside advertising agencies and marketing agencies, design agencies, and so forth. And those agencies were laying people off. So once again, we went through that in early 2020s, and now it picked up rapidly in 2021, like literally just went on steroids in 2021, because a lot of companies realized that, oh shit, we're still in the pandemic, everyone works remotely, so now we need to have this tech or new tech transformation with other companies to cater to all our customers, our employees and whatnot. So now we need more engineers, we need more designers, and so forth. And so it went on steroids, and all these big companies started hiring like fucking crazy. But then, once again, I'm distracted by my watch. But then again, 2022 rolls around, inflation goes up, and all these big tech companies that were hiring like fucking crazy, left, right, and center, suddenly realize, oh shit, we don't sell as much as we did last year. But we can't afford to lose that revenue stream or money we were making, so well, let's just sadly let go some people. I'm not blaming the companies. I'm not. One of the things that all of you need to remember, probably for the rest of your professional career, a business is a business. And as much as all of them create their cultural shticks, if you will, such as the Salesforce Ohana and Google's playgrounds and Facebook's move quickly, break shit and whatnot. All of this is great because it feels like you become part of this community, part of this thing that is maybe bigger than you, and you feel that, wow, now I am part of this massive thing that really cares about me and loves me and supports me, and gives me the freedom to do and create and do these things, they do give you freedoms to create things and be yourself and innovate and design and be creative and dream. But at the end of the day, one of the things a lot of people I notice forgetting in those when they're working for these companies is that the goal of these companies is not to make you happy. The goal of these companies is to make money, not for you, for them, which is okay. And I believe that's how it should be. If a corporation was built and created to build a specific product, sell it, make money, then take that money, use it for some innovation, create more things, innovate and build new things. That's just how it works. And so I see a lot of people on the internet of like suddenly cursing at these companies and bashing them for you're insensitive bastards and so forth. They're not insensitive bastards. They're just corporations. They're not your friends. They're not your family. I mean, maybe some of them are from your family. I don't know. Maybe you work for your uncle or cousin or father or mother or whatever. But at the end of the day, you need to understand that their goal is not to make sure that your life is amazing. Their goal is to make sure that what they can give you money in exchange for your service to elevate them as a company and make them more money, so then they can hire more like you people, give more money to get more service and so forth. It's an exchange. And so the sooner you understand that this exchange is, it's not emotional, it's not friendly, it's not, I love you, you love me. It's about the fact that you're a professional, you know how to do certain things. There are companies that want your service. Whether they're hiring you as a consultant, freelancer, or a full-time employee, the concept is the same. You're selling your knowledge, you're selling your abilities, you're selling your capabilities, your skill set, and so forth, in order for the company to use that service, use that skill set, use that knowledge in order to build more, make more things, sell more things, make more money. Simple as that, very simple. And so when companies laying people off, it's not because they don't care about you. I assure you, a lot of your managers and executives and whatnot feel terrible, because I've been in those shoes. I've been in the shoes of laying people off, and I can tell you, it feels terrible. But at the end of the day, it's not. If I'm working for a company, it's not my company. I can't make, as a business owner, a decision that, you know what, I'm not gonna take my salary home today or this month, but I will make sure the rest of my employees getting paid. Some companies do that, and surprisingly, I can tell you right now that most of the companies, that the owners of those companies and the managers and executives will cut their salaries in half, or even sometimes by 75% or more, in order to sustain their current employees and make sure they still have income until better times come. These companies, 99.9% of them are not big corporations. They're not big tech. They're just not. And from some odd reason, a lot of people who are kind of dreaming working at all of these massive companies kind of don't grasp that. Like, they don't, especially public companies. Public companies, their responsibility is not to you, their responsibility is to their shareholders. And so that's just how things are. Okay, I am done with this rant about how things work. I hope this was wasn't perceived of me bitching about things. It's me trying to be more, what's the right word in English? Pragmatic? Realistic about life and how things work in life. And so that aside now kind of nicely leads into what I'm going to say next. So Job hunting in 2023 is right now probably going to be very different from how you experience job hunting in the last year or two. I keep saying this to a lot of people that I'm trying to promote people's approach to job hunting as try to treat companies the way companies treat you. And it's not bad by any means. What I'm trying to say by that is try to approach it with more of a little bit of a cold-hearted viewpoint, right? Where you basically apply not only to the companies you really want to work at, right? Because that's what I see. I see a lot of people saying, I really want to work at this company. And so I've been trying to apply for the last 2 years. And I still didn't get a job. Well, of course you didn't. There's a weird concept that I've been hearing a lot in the industry for a long time now, is that find the companies you truly love, tailor your resume and portfolio towards kind of their direction and apply there. But the thing is, people who do say that, and then people do say that, and even some leaders do say that, and hiring managers say that, the thing is, there is probably about 10 to 15,000 people today, or every day, or every year, that wants to be an astronaut. But there's only 5 or 10 people who actually will be astronauts. And just a few of them will actually go to space. The rest are backups. So when you're thinking, when you kind of structure your mindset in that way, that you want to be UX designer, let's say at Google. I don't know the actual count, but let's say Google has 1,000 UX designers, and they have 1,100 positions, of which 1,000 already filled, people already working there. So they have 100 positions. Now, this is Google we're talking about. So you probably have anywhere between 200 to 300 people applying for a single UX design position at Google. And no matter how many talented and absolutely fucking amazing people that Google will interview, they will inevitably select only one per position. They're not going to create extra positions just because they truly, really love you. They will if you are an incredible executive, yes. If you are somebody who's been leading massive teams at big companies and have this amazing track record of building something that yields amazing results, yes, they will probably create a position for you. I'm probably going to pay you a shit ton of money for that. But if you're just a regular UX designer, and granted, when I say regular, that means just like a lot of other UX designers, and each one of us have different skills and different abilities and different talents. So what I'm trying is, if you're a part of that overall community of people that are aiming to apply for those positions at Google, then I am sorry to say a lot of you are going to be disappointed. But if you're going to keep thinking that you're going to keep applying there and one day you'll get a job, you will. But one thing that I would like to stress out is that don't wait for it. Don't sit home, wait for getting a job at Google or any one of these companies you're trying to work at, and to be honest, complain about the fact that you can't get a job. Because, believe it or not, the American economy, and I'm pretty sure it's this way in most of the countries, most developed countries. The American or North American economy majority runs on small to medium-sized businesses, not the large corporations. Large corporations are public, so we know about them. They're in the news, they're in courts, they're in lawsuits, they're in public debates, they're in public opinions and whatnot. But the majority of the economy runs on businesses that we don't hear about, we don't know about, and we don't know exist. Nobody talks about them, no one really cares about them. And yet these companies still working, these companies still hiring, and they do need the talent that all these Googles and Facebooks and whatnot typically grab from underneath them. Why? Because they typically pay a little bit more. They have some perks that these companies don't. But these companies, believe it or not, oftentimes can be a lot better than the big ones. Why? Because the smaller companies will actually care about you. A lot of the smaller companies actually care about their employees. Why? Because it's because of the size of it. It feels more like family. You actually know each other. You actually get involved in each other's life. You actually go to each other's birthdays and weddings and other events and whatnot. So laying off a person that you've known for the last 3, 4, 5 years, and you've been to their wedding and you've been to their birthday party and you've been to their, it's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more emotional, because when there's layoffs happening for, let's say, companies like Google, CEO of Google doesn't know probably 95% of his company. Never met him. He doesn't know their names. He doesn't know their situations. He doesn't know their needs, desires, wishes, dreams, hopes, and so he doesn't. And he shouldn't. He's the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company that has hundreds of thousands of employees. It's impossible to know everyone. It's like for a president to know all of his people in the country. It's just impossible. They know some from some areas, kind of the representatives of these communities and states and cities and counties and whatnot, but I don't know every single person. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're looking at finding a job in 2023, in the situation that we're in, that the big tech community, if you will, or industry is either laying off, freezing hiring, and probably won't get back to its previous year's cadence of hiring people at least until 2024, if not beyond. So think about that. Well, you probably don't know, or didn't notice, or probably did now that I said down. Anyway, I took a break. I need to clear up my throat. I've been coughing. So let me get back to this. Ooh, morning throat. So as I was saying, the job hunting part is very different today than it was a couple of years ago, even 5 years ago, or even last year. It's very different. So today, honestly, I would highly recommend, and I've been recommending to a lot of people, that stop looking at the big companies. Stop even looking at the tech industry. Somebody yesterday told me that, well, I don't see a lot of jobs in the tech industry. And I'm like, why won't you tell me, what do you think, or what in your definition the tech industry is? And so the person listed all these companies, like, of course, the Google and the Facebook and Instagram and Tesla and Twitter. And I'm like, hold on a second. You do realize that tech industry right now is literally any industry. Because if you look at healthcare, technology, they're running on software, they have mobile applications, they have teledocs, and then so forth. Automotive industry right now is, to the best of my understanding or knowledge, or what I've seen in the industry in the last couple of months, they're hiring like crazy. Those people who were laid off from Google's and whatnot, they're hiring. Why? Because they're building electric cars. Electric cars require a lot of tech talent. Engineers, designers, UX designers, researchers, builders, and the list goes on. And then let's step back a little bit. Think about all the manufacturing jobs. Think about all the manufacturing facilities and companies. Think about railroad. Think about your government. Think about insurance. Think about finances. Think about, the tax industry, the people who do taxes, the accounting. I can keep going of how many industries and how many companies are would be considered tech companies, but they don't. However, because of our modern age, all of them are running on technology. Some they buy, a lot of it they build in-house. For that, they need people. Those people are engineers and designers, product managers. Just that's what it is. And so when you're hunting for a job, stop just kind of putting those horse blinders on your eyes and be like, okay, I'm just gonna concentrate on these big tech companies because I wanna work there, or because this is where the tech people go. No, break away from that. Break away from that. And think about all the startups, the early stage, mid stage startups, even late stage startups, but not big yet, meaning anywhere between 100 to 150 to, I don't know, 1,000 or a few thousand employees, not in the hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands. Then think about all of the local, quote unquote, mom and pop shops, if you will, smaller businesses, smaller organizations. You have, again, look into government. I live in New York State constantly hiring. And they right now has positions for UX designers, product managers, different engineers, not railroad engineers, but software engineers, software developers. I think I've seen a few positions in React Native, and I don't know why people don't think that because it's government, they're not hiring designers or engineers. Because it's a manufacturing that builds or manufactures, I don't know, windows and doors, then they don't need a designer or an engineer. Just because it's a farm, then they don't need a engineer or a designer. There is a lot of opportunities, you just ignore them for the reason which is not your fault. It's because for the last probably decade, the entire tech industry have been concentrated essentially on these big names that people feel that, well, this is the tech industry. This is where, if I'm going to be a software engineer, this is where I go. If I'm going to be a product designer, this is where I go. If I'm going to be a UX designer, that's where I go. No. There's so many more opportunities. You have agencies, for crying out loud. You have design agencies, marketing agencies, ad agencies, you have the big guys, the middle guys, the small guys. All of these places have positions. Granted, some of them may not pay as high as Google. Some of them might not have a massage every month perk like Salesforce, right? They won't, but they will give you a salary. They will give you, in most cases, benefits such as healthcare, insurance, cover your commute. That's it. They're not gonna give you massages. They're not gonna give you beer on tap. They're not gonna give you pool tables. They're not gonna give you playgrounds. They're not gonna give you all of these things. And at the end of the day, you know what? As much as it sounds fun, I think that team building and creating this bond between people at the organization should be a lot more deeper and more meaningful than putting a pool table or beer on tap or pizza Fridays. I don't know. So my advice to you, and again, I'm here to give you an advice, so it's up to you to take it or not. My advice to you is to stop trying to apply only to a handful of companies. Expand your horizons. Look at other industries. Look into other places that hire. B, stop thinking that your career growth is dependent on the size of a company. It's not. You can still grow within a small organization that grows as well at some point, and you will grow with it if you stick around. And C, expand your horizons outside of your immediate vicinity. I've seen a lot of these situations where people apply for the jobs where they live, such as either their state or their city. We live in the 21st century. We live in 2023, the digital age. Remote jobs, and yes, a lot of big companies are calling people back. But again, if you're looking outside of the big companies, and you're looking at startups and different industries and smaller companies, smaller organizations, odds are a lot of them will be very flexible for remote works. Very flexible, if not completely remote. My previous company was fully remote. We didn't have an office. I've never met half of my staff. I've never met actually some of my employees that actually hired and managed and so forth. Never met them in real life. And that's okay, because that's how it is these days. So consider these literally 3 things, and I am pretty certain that your job hunting is suddenly going to be a lot better, with a lot more opportunities. You'll see a lot more interesting jobs and a lot more interesting companies and a lot more interesting products. And who knows, maybe it will help you to get a job a lot quicker and a lot faster than kind of concentrating only on a very specific industry, very specific geolocation and so forth. More so, try to even expand outside of your country. I personally worked in 5 countries in 3 different continents, and the reason is because I've never kind of locked my brain into the fact that I have to apply where I live. I applied everywhere that I found interesting, and I just applied. And another thing to that just apply is numbers games. Just apply to anything and everything and everywhere that you see or think that might be something that is for you and something that you can do. You'll be surprised how many interesting and fascinating companies out there that you've never known existed might come back to you and say, hey, we like you, let's talk. And on that note, thank you for your time. I keep stressing this every single time, but I can't stress this enough. Thank you for your time. It's really, really humbling to me to see the support of the channel, how many people watch it, how many people come here, how many people respond to it, how many people reach out to me directly and thanking me for the videos. It's amazing. And so I want to thank you for all of that. I will continue creating these videos as much as I can and as often as I can. But again, I have other shit that sometimes gets in the way, and I don't create those videos on time. But thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. I really hope that this was helpful and educational, and will help you in your job hunting. So thank you once again, and never stop learning.